What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Get It Right Saturday Night Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Francis, here with my fellow co-hosts, Colin Fursley
Hey, what's going on?
and Oscar Morale.
Hey guys, how you doing?
We're back here, guys, back in college, here to bring you guys every episode, hopefully every Saturday night. And let's get right into it. New year, boom.
Yep. Oscar, some news that happened last week. What would you like to share with the people?
Sadly, you gotta pay our respects to Franz Beckenbauer, greatest German soccer player of all time. One of only three players in history to win the World Cup as a player and a coach. Just legendary and momentous figure for the game itself. Passed away last week, and we just wanted to pay our respects. You know, as a fan of German soccer myself, and just as a fan of the game, anybody who's a fan of the game, he's a legendary person, legendary icon who moved the game forward and just was a great role model and leader for a bunch of players in the game. So, just we send our condolences to the family, and you know, long live der Kaiser.
Yeah.
God bless.
All right. Well, no, there's not a whole lot going on around the sports world that's significant in basketball, baseball. Baseball's in the off season, hockey, all that stuff. Except the Panthers are on a 9-game win streak. So shout out to Florida Panthers.
Shout out the Florida
Um,
Panthers.
so this is gonna be entirely a NFL football episode. A lot is going on. We're entering the playoffs. Regular season just finished. So first, we're gonna be talking about the coaching carousel that happened in the NFL and also
In college
in college
football, yeah.
football as well. A lot of notable, high-profile coaches either quit or retired or got fired, and it's just crazy that all this stuff happened at the same time. So, um,
Yep.
first, let's start off in college football. Nick Saban is retiring after being with the Alabama Crimson Tide, a legendary run, I believe, 7 national championships. Uh,
Yeah, seven total, yeah.
and yeah, and I mean, he coached Michigan State, LSU before that, and he had a couple
And
stints in the NFL as well.
like the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, yeah, we don't talk about that time period, but I mean, he's the greatest college football coach of all time, I think.
Yeah, he built
Yeah,
an empire down there in Alabama,
Yeah,
or up
and
there
absolutely
for
agree.
us.
yeah,
This
and
uh
yeah, yeah, go
This
ahead.
just changes the game of college football. I mean, one of the greats is stepping down and retiring and calling his career. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean the stranglehold that Alabama held on the CFP, on the college football playoffs, for years and years and years, I think is now going to slowly even out again. You're going to see some more parity in college football, especially with now the rule changes coming as of next year with 8 teams being able to come into the playoffs. I think we're going to see a lot more uh, diverse amount of winners as we have seen in the past, especially the last 12 or so years. It's been a lot of Bama, a lot of Clemson, and a lot of LSU. So I think we're going to see a good amount of mixed up and competitive football when it comes to college football now.
You know,
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, yeah, and I'd love to just mention one thing. Nick Saban. Yeah, I personally I still think he's got maybe a few years in him. But I remember at one time he said that they don't make him like how they used to, and it's clear that the game has changed from when he would coach to the game
No,
now.
of course. And if I'm being brutally honest with you, I think it's much, much harder to coach college football than it is the NFL,
Yeah,
because college football is like the Wild West, man. You got the transfer portal, you got to worry about so many different things at a time. Uh,
That's
as
true.
your responsibilities as head coach. Whereas I believe, at least, I mean, I'm not an NFL coach or a college football coach, but I believe at least an NFL coaching job is more streamlined. It's much more direct. You have still a lot of responsibilities, but it's a lot more of what you're expecting to do as a coach than having to multi-manage an entire team. You know, college football, I feel like the head coach is also the GM, Whereas in the NFL, there's two different positions that work together.
Yeah, I it's college football has changed. Now we're in the NIL era, and some coaches have not adapted. Clearly, uh, some teams like Clemson, they just some guys just haven't adapted to this new era of college football. And Nick Saban has been through multiple eras of football. Through the hard era where there were no roughing the passer penalties, there were no pass interference. To now, basically, if you touch a player, it's like you're out of the game. This guy's been through many different eras, and it's clear that he's the greatest coach because he has shown that he could win at any point in time and be successful. Never had a losing season, and it really just shows that he really is a great coach. And about his replacement, so Alabama actually hired Washington's head coach. Now, Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer, I believe. Sorry if I'm
Yeah,
botching his last name right, but um, I think that's a good hire. I believe he was under Nick Saban at some point, and Nick Saban's coaching tree in general has been very successful. It's clear. You can look through the NFL. You can look to other college football head coaches now. This guy has built an empire, and he's the great, and he'll be missed.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And then also in the NFL, it's crazy all this happened at the same time. First, it was Mike Vrabel. He got fired as a Titans head coach, and he served there from 2018 to now 2023. I was very
I was
surprised by this.
That was
I
not the
did not
move,
think that he was the problem there.
not at
I
all,
didn't I didn't
I
think
think
so
not at all.
either. And when I heard that he got fired, there was only one thought in my mind. It was, well, if they fired him from Tennessee, it's because he wants to coach at New England. That was my belief, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
And then that didn't even end up happening. So
I
this
think
just leaves me even more confused and even more dumbfounded at what Tennessee's doing. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I
It's
don't know. I'm
Tennessee had first of all, Mike Vrabel was not the problem. They traded their star players, and now their last star, who is Derrick Henry, is a free agent. And clearly, after his last game, him thanking the fans and thanking the employees and thanking the janitors, it's clear he's not coming back. He's going to a different team, and it looks like they're in a rebuild. But a rebuild shouldn't involve firing a coach that's won Coach of the Year and led your team to some of the greatest playoff berths in your team's history.
yeah.
You can't do that. I mean, the general managers over there need to figure out something, and the executive office needs to rethink that decision because Mike Vrabel, wherever he's gonna go, if it's the Chargers now, if it's Seattle, if it's the Falcons, he's gonna be successful, and it's really they're gonna regret this decision very much
And
so.
and honestly, like poor, like the real losers here are the Tennessee Titans and their fans, because
Absolutely,
like you said, Mark, Vrabel, a great head coach. Maybe not like nowhere near all time, but he's definitely had a very good coaching stint out there. Brought in a lot of good talent. Derrick Henry, AJ Brown. Like these are all Tennessee Titan players, and
yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot more too. They had a very good defense at one point.
Oh, they
Uh,
did. They had one of the
yeah,
best safeties in the game.
yeah, they have always had under Mike Vrabel an amazing offensive line that gave Derrick Henry a chance to be the greatest running back year in and year out in the National Football League.
Oh yeah,
So I'm just if I were a Tennessee Titans fan, I would be in disbelief. Like I would be in absolute shock.
absolutely. Clearly, there was some miscommunication and disagreements between the coaches on the team and the executives. I mean, that's very clear when you have Ryan Tannehill and Will Levis and whoever your string quarterback is that they drafted as well last year or the year before. I'm not sure. There, it seems like there's been disagreements, and they put it on Mike Vrabel on fault, and I think that's wrong for him because he's gonna thrive wherever else he goes. And I kind of hope he goes to Atlanta. Can't lie. I
Why is
think
that?
he. It's clear that he's really good with a run heavy offense, and in Atlanta they have first of all Bijan Robinson, who I mean he runs like a dog, man. That guy's a dog, and he has good targets, and he could also draft a great quarterback this upcoming draft. He has Drake London, who he's all right. He'll catch the ball, and they have a good defense. They have Jesse Bates, who clearly is one of the best. I feel like he can turn that team into a team that goes into the winning column. Maybe not playoff bound in the first year, but if he goes to the Falcons, I think he'll turn them to a winning column team. And we can't forget about Kyle Pitts, who of course is very unutilized, just very wrong.
Great tight end, but yeah,
Yeah,
underutilized. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, also Pete Carroll, he was also fired after being the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks since 2010. He took them to two Super Bowls, won one of them, and just an overall great coach. It was very clear that he wanted to stay as the head coach of Seattle, and they
yeah,
just wanted to go in another direction, but they allowed him to stay with the organization and having a role in the front office. So,
yeah. His role is
not what he
advisor.
wanted, but
you know what? All
not the
things
worst case scenario.
considered, out of all the head coach buzz this week, this one was the one where I definitely saw this one and I said, okay, this makes sense. If I was the Seattle Seahawks front office, I would do the same. I wouldn't want him coaching for any other team. This man is integral to the identity of who the Seattle Seahawks are. But I also feel like they needed a freshen things up in the coaching scene, like you said yourself, Colin. He's been there since 2010. But you can still use his expertise, and I think the front office role for him is just perfect. He still gets to contribute to the team. You still use his great insight and knowledge towards the game, and I'm sure he's still going to have a say into uh, aspects of coaching. He just won't be the head coach. And I think,
Yeah,
especially with the new line of players, they're trying to build up a better team. They have a good team now. They had a lot of good talent. DK Metcalf, Geno Smith having a resurgence late into his career, or
Mhm.
somewhat, but still, like, and you have a great young running back in Kenneth Walker the third. So definitely, I think this one made the most sense. It just everything seems right about this switch in position. He can bring in a lot of new talent for them, and I think a new head coach will also be able to unite the players. Maybe that Pete Carroll wasn't able to before for X, Y, and Z reasons. And a lot of the times, necessarily, especially in the NFL, it's not that the coaches themselves are bad. It's just the situations don't end up meshing together. So front offices have to make a decision, and I think this one was the right one.
Yeah.
I uh,
Well, good.
I kind of, I was surprised by this decision. Um, I I I know that Pete Carroll, he's up there in age. He's 72 years old, and he was bound to retire, and clearly he wanted to stay in Seattle, and he loves what he does. But I don't think as removing him as head coach was the move. I think maybe they should have given him one more year, and they built a good team this year, and it's clear that they've done well these past 2 years, and they've got some good draft picks, and I think maybe one more year of him coaching, trying to unite the players, see who was the right decision for this team and who wasn't. I think that should have been what Seattle has done. Clearly, that was not their plan. I'm glad he stays with Seattle. I was very, very surprised by this decision.
Yeah, interesting. Well, and I would say the most biggest news, most breaking news was Bill Belichick leaving the New England Patriots. I mean, it's not something that I guess we were all surprised by because there have been talks about it throughout the entire season.
Yeah,
But I mean, after being with the team for 24 seasons straight, six Super Bowl wins, I mean, it- his run was incredible and
absolutely.
might go down as one of the greatest coaches of all time. and now he's gonna continue coaching. He's gonna go to another team. There's been talks, about the Atlanta Falcons, the Chargers potentially. So we'll see where he ends up going. But
I think he's gonna be the next head coach for the Chargers if the Chargers don't hire Jim Harbaugh.
yeah, that's another thing. Got to look out for Jim Harbaugh coming in from the college scene. So
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting. Do you guys think that Bill Belichick uh, getting fired was the right decision, or do you think they should have given him one more year? What do you guys think?
I I, I think it was the right decision. Clearly, the team wasn't working out his way, and you could say he kind of has lost passion of the team and lost hope in his team. Clearly by his remarks in most of his press conferences. Uh, but as well, I feel like the Patriots are very, very smart. They had the apprentice ready. He's been with the team for I forget the name
Jared
of the
Mayo,
exact Jared
yeah,
Mayo. Yeah,
the new head
he's
coach for them.
he's coached under Belichick for what 5 years now,
Yeah, something like that.
something like that. This is very very smart by him, and this was clearly in the contract
Yeah,
that they had.
it's a passing on of the baton.
Yeah,
I ideally you would have thought maybe this becomes kind of like a Pat Riley situation of how it was here in Miami. The passing on to the torch to Eric Spoelstra. But sadly, I don't think Bill Belichick's going to stay with the organization. Kind of like Pete Carroll did, like going to the front office. I think Bill Belichick's just going to retire. And you know what? I think it's what's best for him. He had arguably the best tenure as a head coach uh, in the National Football League. I mean,
yeah.
winning three uh, Lombardi trophies in two different eras of football, absolutely unheard of. You know, not the most winningest coach of all time in terms of wins. Of course, that goes out to Don Shula, but uh, in terms of success as a coach in the NFL, I mean, Bill Belichick is the standard. He dominated the game, like throughout his career, like unquestionably, from the second he got to New England, and even before that, he had a great tenure. Obviously, not as historic or as legendary as his tenure in New England, but his tenure with the Browns was nothing to sneeze at. He was a good coach there too.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, but he's not gonna retire though. He said he's gonna continue coaching. He's gonna go on to another team. I think he wants to break Shula's record, so that's part of it as well.
Yeah. Well,
So
if there's one
unfortunately,
thing we've learned about Belichick through all the social media, is that that man loves his boat, and he's going to be spending a lot of time on his boat this summer. I'm assuming if he's not on a team.
I hope he falls in love with that boat, man. You know
I
what,
mean,
Bill Belichick?
yeah.
You
dude,
had your
I'll tell you
time.
what, it's a nice boat. I've seen a photo of it. It's a pretty nice boat. I give him props for it's not like the boats that Papa Allen takes us on, but hey, it's she's up there. She's up there.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty nice. Well, now we will move our attention to the Pro Bowl. So the NFL Pro Bowl starters, they were announced last week. And so, I mean, a couple snubs, but I don't know what do you guys think for the most part. Here's the AFC first quarterbacks. We got Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and Tua Tagovailoa.
I mean,
What do you guys think about that?
uh,
Those three players right
why
there.
is Mahomes there?
Yeah, the good question.
I mean,
I I agree with you.
like,
Here,
are you serious?
here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though. Who would you put in over Mahomes? Arguably, the only other guy you would put in over Mahomes is
Josh
Josh
Allen.
Allen, right?
Yeah.
But comparatively, you look at their seasons, and they're not too different. Now, statistically, Josh Allen has been a little bit better, but also Josh Allen has been more to blame for the reason of his team's uh, downfalls this year. He was at the heart and center of it. Whereas you look at Patrick Mahomes, neither of these quarterbacks are having really career years. They're having both down years, especially in terms of team success. I mean, you can make the case that the Bills have ended off pretty strong. That is,
Oh,
I
they
mean,
have.
that's a
Absolutely.
fact.
Can't deny that.
Absolutely.
And
But
I hate saying that. I hate saying that.
yeah, but their early season woes were really nothing to scoff at. So you look at it, and in my mind, you say, okay, just looking at the quarterback, not team success, who's more to blame, Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes? And for me personally, I would have to say Josh Allen. Has Patrick Mahomes been winning and dominating in the fashion that we know him to be? No, absolutely not. But Patrick Mahomes has been playing a good game. He's playing his game. It's not his fault that a lot of his receivers are not doing their jobs, quite frankly. And because of them not doing their jobs, they have lost quite a few games this year, even one to Buffalo themselves. So in the grand scheme of things, when I look at things holistically, I would put Patrick Mahomes over Josh Allen.
I I actually, now
Disagree,
that
probably,
I
but
think about it, yeah, I wouldn't put. I don't think Mahomes should be there. I think it would be between Josh Allen and C.J. Stroud. I mean C.J. Stroud. The thing about the Pro Bowl is that it's a fan voted selection. So when we talk about who has had a better season, that comes down to first team, second team, third team, and then you have your All Pro, right? But I mean, C.J. Stroud. I mean, he, all eyes on him. All eyes was on him. Everyone loves him. Everyone likes him. And there's a popularity contest, and of course, Lamar Jackson is going to be there, and Tua is going to be there, and because Mahomes is the most popular quarterback for kids. I mean, you've seen how many kids have their hair like Patrick Mahomes. I mean, at this rate, I might get a perm and do the same thing. Because honestly, if
well,
if that if
yeah, I mean,
that's
but
the ways, Marisol, I'm coming. Give me a perm. Like, I'm not even joking.
I mean,
so
I agree. I think CJ Stroud should have been it instead of Patrick Mahomes. I think CJ Stroud has played way better than Patrick Mahomes throughout the season. And, it's popularity contest, like you said, and, you can't ignore what Patrick Mahomes has done throughout his career. But I think it's hard for the voters sometimes to take just this season and only look at it through that lens. I think they think back
Yeah,
about all of Patrick Mahomes' successes and just automatically think, oh, this guy's great. He should be in the Pro Bowl, even though his season was not good. I think CJ Stroud played way better this season
I
than
agree.
Patrick Mahomes. I think he should have been it. And it's the same thing that goes
I
over here. There was something that I noticed.
well, Colin,
Yeah, yeah, go.
I think the reason a lot of the times we think that CJ Stroud has been playing better uh, than, for example, a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen is all due to expectation. Like you said, we tend, like, especially for stuff like this, you tend to try to not look at um past seasons. But the reason people have been saying, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes have been having such terrible years is because of the expectations we have for these all-time talents. I mean, and with Patrick Mahomes, I mean, he's an all-time great quarterback, period. But coming into the season, we had little to no expectation for CJ Stroud. I mean, he's a rookie. All you wanted him to do was just play it as consistent as possible and to really just not turn over the ball, right? And
Mhm.
he, with those little expectations in mind, he has shattered your expectation of what a rookie quarterback should be. So, and I'm not saying he doesn't deserve contention uh for the Pro Bowl, because he definitely does. I mean, the guy has been doing historic things as a rookie, but you compare him to Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, and I think I could understand you saying Josh Allen should have been in there over over Patrick Mahomes more than CJ Stroud. Just me personally, though.
Okay. Well, I mean, you can look about it through expectations, but if you want to look at it through stats, I mean, let's
Yeah,
Patrick
look
Mahomes
at look at the
through.
stats.
Yeah, I am. Patrick Mahomes, 27 touchdown passes. CJ Stroud, 23 touchdown passes. He also missed a bunch of games when Patrick Mahomes didn't. So if he played all those games, he would have had more touchdown passes. Passing yards, after CJ Stroud missed how many games? I think it was like 3 or 4
He missed
games.
three games. Three
Three
games,
He
yes.
games.
missed 3 games. He has 80 yards less than Mahomes. So he missed 3 games and only has 80 yards less. So it's fair to say that if he had played, obviously, he would have surpassed Mahomes in touchdown passes and passing yards, which are the two main quarterback stats that you look at. So I think if you look at that, I think CJ Stroud definitely deserves it more than Patrick Mahomes, especially based off of the team's performance as well. The Texans were the worst team in the
Yeah,
league last year.
no,
Now they're
no
up
shade
really up there.
on CJ Stroud whatsoever. I love what he's doing down there in Texas, and I
Yeah.
think it's amazing, and I can't wait to see
Mhm.
what his career unfolds
Yeah.
into. But
for sure.
yeah, just yeah.
I think you look at the eye test, you're really impressed with what CJ Stroud is doing, especially
No,
for
of
being a
course.
rookie.
Yeah.
And then you go ahead and look at the stats, and it backs that up as
Yeah,
well. I
it
mean, his
backs it
stats
up.
are better than Patrick Mahomes. So that's just my opinion. The reason I was saying, before the popularity contest, they probably put Patrick Mahomes in just because he's always been good. It was something else that caught my eye that I thought was very similar was if you look at the offensive tackles, Teron Armstead made the Pro Bowl. This guy barely played,
Yeah, this guy didn't
and
play,
he
bro.
he barely played football. But I think it's one of those instances where it's like people are trying to think of like who should make the Pro Bowl. Oh, Teron Armstead. Oh, he's a great player. He's always been good. I'm gonna vote for him. When in reality, during the season, he really didn't do a whole lot. When he played, he was good, but
Yeah,
he
but
barely played.
and this has been a recurring thing for a little over 2 years now, just slightly, but he tends to be on the injury list a lot,
Oh, all the time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
He's always dealing with some sort of nagging injury, and trust me, as a Dolphins fan, I love how great of a player he is, but and it even says this actually. I don't know if you guys been watching Hard Knocks, but it says this at the Dolphins practice facility in their workout room. The best ability is availability, and
yeah,
I
yeah.
strongly and firmly believe in that saying. Um, you know, Zion Williamson could be as great of a talent as he could be, but the guy's fat and sitting on a couch instead
He's
of
eating
playing
McDonald's every day and
basketball.
Canes and whatever.
Yeah,
yeah,
so the best ability is availability. Same thing goes with players like Kawhi, like generational talent when he's on the floor, but key word is on the floor.
Yeah.
yeah,
Something interesting that had caught my eye was James Cook as a Pro Bowl running back.
yeah. He was great this
I
year.
mean, he was
Second
great.
his second half of the year was
He was
nothing to
great.
sneeze at. He was good.
But I really honestly, from popularity wise, and the Buffalo Bills have one of the strongest fan bases. I was really expecting Brees Hall to make the Pro Bowl. I mean,
Yeah, he had a great year.
I thought he was gonna make it. I mean, it's a popularity vote. New York has very passionate fans. And I really thought he was gonna make it. And clearly, Derrick Henry is up here because Derrick Henry's popular, right?
No, but
Derrick Henry
also
had a down year.
his beginning. I would argue that actually because the beginning of the year, no doubt, was pretty down for him. But steadily as the season progressed, you got more consistent performances from Derrick Henry.
I mean, yeah, you
Yeah,
could
that's
say that,
true.
but it's not compared to other players that maybe would have been in the Pro Bowl
The
because
only
they're more
one,
consistent.
well, let me look here. The only one, and I believe this to be true, who should be there over Derrick Henry was Travis Etienne Jr. from the Jacksonville Jaguars. And
He was good. He was good at the start. He
Yeah,
kind of fell off a little bit towards the end. I like the Brees Hall selection there, but just so you guys, maybe you guys just didn't know this for everyone else watching, these are just the starters. There are way,
yeah,
way, way more players that are gonna be Pro
yeah.
Bowlers that are gonna play in the Pro Bowl as
There's
reserves.
reserves because of course
yeah, yeah, we know this,
assuming
but
I mean T.J. Watt's injured. Okay, he's not going to play in the Pro Bowl. Okay, Teron Armstead, he's probably still going to be injured or whatever's going to happen with him. Right, DeYoung Dawkins, he's going to be at Already Snow University. He's not going to play in the Pro Bowl. Okay, I
Yeah,
mean Travis Kelsey, knowing him, bro. No, I mean, come on.
yeah.
yeah.
Well, all right. So now let's move on to the NFC
Whoa.
side of things.
Just very quickly,
Oh,
I'd
my
like to
bad.
give a shout out to a tight end, David Njoku. Got to rep the U.
Yeah.
Great player at the University of Miami, and I'm glad he's finally been in an upward trajectory this year. He's always been a solid tight end, and I think this year he's really taken his game to the next level. So shout out to David Njoku, man.
Yep,
Yeah, he's a
100%.
great player.
Um, yeah, for sure. All right, now on the NFC side of things, we got Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, and Matthew Stafford. No Jared Goff, no Jalen Hurts. Um,
I mean, look, I know we're talking about quarterbacks, but I have to say this.
mhm.
Amon-Ra St. Brown not
Oh
being
yeah,
selected
we were
for the
gonna
Pro
get to
Bowl is
that, but
crazy. But
yeah,
I
I mean he's in the Pro Bowl, just not as a starter.
yeah, I like the Matthew Stafford pick. Of course, it's a popularity pick. Brock Purdy,
I think they got the quarterbacks
eh,
absolutely right here, and
eh, eh.
Yeah, I agree. I think the quarterbacks are good. I don't know, Matthew Stafford over Jared Goff. That's my only
I
thing
would.
there, but
You
I
know what?
think yeah,
I would
I would do
because
Jared Goff over
and
Brock Purdy,
well, I'll tell you
no.
why I would
personally.
put Matthew Stafford over Jared Goff. When you look at
Hmm.
their rosters side by side, a lot more responsibility falls on Matthew Stafford to make sure that offense and that team as a
That's true.
whole is running as efficiently as it can be and winning these games. Jared Goff, and this is it's not a diss on Jared Goff at all, but this is more a compliment to their head coach, Jay Campbell, who has done an amazing job with these Detroit Lions and building a heck of a all-rounded team, well-rounded team.
Hmm.
When he's insured, he's given Jared Goff an insurancy policy. So where if you're not on your A game, that's fine. We got a two-headed running game that's very good, very like sound and based in its fundamentals. Nothing too flashy like our Miami offense, but a very good, physical running game. And he has great receivers as well that he's paired up with Jared Goff. So a lot more responsibility falls on Matthew Stafford, and I know he has two great receivers in Puka Nakua and Cooper Cup, obviously, and a great running back in Kyron Williams. I'm not taking any of that away as well, but if Matthew Stafford doesn't play like how he's playing, I don't think that team even gets in the playoffs. If I'm
Yeah,
just being very honest,
Yeah.
that's
so I
true.
think
That's a good point.
the pick here for Matthew Stafford over Jared Goff, I think is a fair one.
Okay, I like that. Um, Wide receivers, like you said, Mark. There's no Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
What a
Very
snub! What a
But
surprising.
snub!
but but running backs, DeAndre Swift. I mean, seriously, seriously.
I mean,
Like,
he had a
what
good
about
season.
what about Jameer Gibbs? What about David Montgomery? I mean, these guys had
One, you had to put one of the
They
two in
okay,
there.
but
Yeah.
they.
excellent seasons.
I think the thing is they missed a lot of time, so I think you got to take that into account as well. DeAndre Swift really didn't like he
Jameer
played.
Gibbs didn't miss time.
Yeah, he
Jameer
did.
Gibbs, but barely, maybe 1 or 2 weeks max, and that's when, well, because the only times that Jameer Gibbs went crazy was when David Montgomery missed time. That was only for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. So I think they're looking at like DeAndre Swift is the main running back. He has all the stats. He's played all the games. Whereas Jameer Gibbs and Montgomery, their stats are not probably as high because they're splitting time. So I think that kind of took away from them. They're still great running backs. Um, Probably the best running back committee in the entire NFL. But
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
individually, maybe not Pro Bowlers in the eyes of the people that voted for them.
You know,
So
I would put hey, give some respect to most certain A Chain, man. They put up some crazy numbers too.
Yeah, they
that's
did.
true. That is true. Um, there was a I'm trying there was a snub. Okay, Jesse Bates is here. I was trying to think. It was like a strong safety. I forgot who it was, but I remember on the Pat McAfee show they were talking about.
Legarius Sneed
Legarius Sneed.
No,
for
no,
the
no, no.
AFC.
Well, I'm talking about the NFC. There was I remember they were talking about Buda Baker. Like they thought someone else instead of Buda Baker should have made it. I'm trying to remember who it was for strong safety
For
here
strong safety.
in the
Was it from the
NFC.
Packers?
I don't know.
Jair Alexander? No, I don't think
No,
so.
no, no.
No.
Safety,
No.
safety. Hmm. I don't remember who it was, but they're talking about there was a strong safety in the NFC that played really well and didn't make the Pro Bowl. So, I mean, they always get it wrong, honestly.
Yeah.
It's never perfect. But
But they
yeah,
did
that's
get,
that. It.
I believe they did get the All Pro pretty correct to my
The All
liking.
Pro.
Yeah.
Okay.
AP All Pros.
I would say the NFC is like pretty good uh in terms of roster selection for All Pro. I think it's pretty good. You could have some grievances here and there, but I would say for the most part, they got it pretty spot on. The NFC. I think the AFC there's a little bit more controversy. There's a little bit more debating and arguing you can do. But I think that just goes to show you the amount of actual talent, the talent pool that you have in the AFC
That's
as
true.
well.
Yeah.
You know what was surprising in the AFC that also I believe was a snub?
What?
Michael Pittman Jr.
I
He
I
disagree.
he
I
wouldn't go.
think
he had
Yeah,
a
I
no.
wouldn't.
I would
He had
put
a good
him
year, but
I
I
would
wouldn't
put
put
him
him at all
over
pro. I wouldn't
I'd
put him
put
all
him
pro.
over Jamar Chase because Jamar Chase
I
Oh
basically
no,
missed half the
no,
season.
I wouldn't say that.
I would.
mm,
I would.
I I don't know. I think Michael Pittman is a really, really good player, but he's a really good reserve. I don't know about a
Yeah,
starter.
he's
I
a
like I
yeah, he's a
disagree with that.
fringe. He's fringe.
I
He
don't know.
needs to do.
Everyone disrespects Michael Pittman,
He
bro.
needs to step it
I
up
don't
That
think
just
guy
a
anyone
tiny
disrespect. I
bit
don't
more.
no
No,
one
it's
dis
not
that
disrespect.
guy's a
He's an
dog, bro.
amazing.
That
Yeah,
guy's a
he's an
dog.
amazing player. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong. He's an amazing
he
player,
carried
but
my fantasy team. I respect him a lot,
Yeah,
but
he carried my
you can't.
fantasy team also.
I
You can't
wouldn't put him
compare him
above
to
the other
those
guys.
receivers. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the other guy that instead of Buda Baker was Antoine Winfield of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He had a really good season, and they chose Buda
Oh,
Baker over him. I was a little
yeah.
questionable
Yeah,
there.
that is questionable.
But shout out to my guy Brandon Aubrey for making the Pro Bowl as a rookie kicker. He had a great season until the last game, but good for him. Good for him. All right. Now, before we get into our NFL playoff predictions, there's one more topic I want to go over, and I want to predict who we think are going to win the NFL End of the Year awards. So I have the odds here, and we're going to go over that real quick because there's some controversial topics. We had a very long debate a few episodes ago between Mark and Oscar who you think should win MVP. And I think the debate has changed a little bit based on what
Yeah.
happened since the
Yeah, very
weeks
much so.
weeks
Yeah.
prior. So we have the awards here. First, we'll start off with the MVP. Lamar Jackson is heavily favored to win it, and then Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, Josh Allen, Christian McCaffrey, and Tyreek Hill. What do you? Because I have my opinions on all of these. So who
Yeah.
do you think should win MVP? I'll start with you, Mark. Go ahead.
Well, clearly, the odds are in Lamar Jackson. He's had an amazing year, and I wouldn't be
Mm,
surprised if he wins it. But I would not be mad if I see Christian McCaffrey in the MVP conversation here, and I think he should have the second best odds because he is the most valuable player in the NFL. There's no one doing anything like him right now. And
Ah.
I personally speaking, I would like to see Christian McCaffrey, but knowing the odds, it's probably gonna go to Lamar Jackson. But I can't hate on that. He's had a great year as well, and he deserves it.
yeah, Oscar, what do you think? What was the little
I
math
think
for?
it's been said and done. I mean, this year it was very tight. No one was a runaway winner until the very end. There were some very decisive key matchups in the NFL, and the winners won and the losers lost, like quite plainly. I think Lamar Jackson, yeah, is the most valuable player in the NFL. Don't get me wrong. I think without him, the Baltimore Ravens are still a very, very good football team, but I don't think they're anywhere near the position that they are in now. Number one seed in the AFC and the clear Super Bowl favorites. Uh, you know, demolished the 49ers and then absolutely embarrassed my Miami Dolphins. Um, yeah, without Lamar, Baltimore is just like a huge step behind into into what that team is. Like, don't get me wrong, that's still an amazing defense, shutdown defense. But Lamar is just a transcendent player because when he's on his A game, Lamar is truly, I think, one of the few players in this league that is unguardable because he's got a heck of an arm, and if there's no option, you know, you point that you just plant that defense back there. You tell Lamar you're not getting a pass out. Well, that's your mistake because then he's scrambling, and that's the last thing you want Lamar Jackson to do because that's 20 yards basically every time. Screw a first down. That's a first down and some change every time that man scrambles. So, I mean, Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, Brock Purdy statistically this season, right? Truly great generational players with especially with Tyreek Hill and Christian McCaffrey. But when it was all said and done, I mean, call it the right place, right time for Lamar Jackson. Getting back to his health. Not having to worry about contracts situation, playing for the Lombardi. Clearly, he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. He's let us know the whole year that he's taking it personally, as a certain Michael Jordan once said. And it's clear he's the favorite for a reason.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. But I have to disagree. I'm not gonna lie. I think 100% without a doubt, even though it's not gonna happen because the NFL's stupid. But it's Christian McCaffrey, and I honestly,
Yeah.
it's like it's pretty convincing to me. I think this year, it's a quarterback award, but there has not been a single quarterback that has played outstanding MVP type
No.
levels
But
this year. I think this is the perfect year that the NFL can say, you know what, we're not just sucking up to the other audience. We want to satisfy the NFL audience that's true and that really enjoys our entertainment, and we need to give this award to the person who is the most valuable for sure, and not just the most popular. Because Lamar Jackson's the more popular answer. He's the quarterback, number one seed, all
well,
that stuff.
it's not just that though. I mean, Christian McCaffrey. If it's not Lamar Jackson, you're absolutely right. As much as I would love Tyreek Hill to win the award, and I believe there's a case for it, he didn't get those 2,000 yards, and that was his biggest argument. If he got them, then I would be a very strong advocate for
Wait.
that.
McCaffrey has 2,000 scrimmage yards total.
No. I know, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the 2,000 receiving yards, not just breaking the record, but getting those 2,000 receiving yards, like Tyreek Hill said he wanted to get this year. Uh, which I think was possible, but the Miami Dolphins just slowed down a little bit towards the end of the year. A little bit of a Dolphins curse, it seems, as of late. Um, Better than last year, but still. Uh, Christian McCaffrey is definitely the MVP if it's not Lamar Jackson. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And he is a transcendent player. However, you can't ignore what Lamar Jackson has done when it's mattered most at the end of this year. He went up against the Niners. And I know he didn't play against Christian McCaffrey. You're absolutely right. But both teams have amazing, and I mean truly amazing, 1A and 1B, best defenses in the league. So
Hmm.
the comparison is fair when I say Lamar Jackson outplayed Christian McCaffrey on that day.
I don't think you can make that
I
comparison.
disagree. I
I
highly
don't think you
disagree
can
with
make
what you
that
just said.
comparison. You cannot compare Christian McCaffrey to Lamar Jackson head to head. You really can't. They're two very different players at two different positions. And if you want to compare Lamar Jackson when they played the 49ers, you have to compare him to Brock Purdy. There is
No,
no way you can
Wait,
well,
go
hold on,
down and
stop,
say.
hold on. Let me say something. First of all, we're not talking about Brock Purdy, okay?
No, but I'm
Forget
yeah,
Brock
just
Purdy.
saying.
Let me show you the stats. 49ers versus the Ravens. Lamar Jackson had a great game. 252 yards, two touchdown passes, zero interceptions, along with 45 rushing yards, right? Not a crazy Lamar stat, but a pretty solid game. In my personal opinion, the Ravens have the best defense in the league. The Ravens are the best defense in the league.
Yeah,
Christian McCaffrey, 14 carries only, 103 yards, which is 7.4 yards a carry, and one touchdown, along with
yep,
28 receiving yards on six catches. Christian McCaffrey had a better game than Lamar Jackson relative to his position. If
yeah,
you look at the running backs who play the Baltimore Ravens, he played a much better game than Lamar Jackson. Also, you look back at Lamar Jackson's stats from when he won the MVP. 2019, he had 3,127 yards. This year, he has 3,600. So he has 500 more passing yards. Very impressive. He had 36 touchdown passes and six interceptions only. This year, he only had 24 touchdown
24,
passes to seven interceptions.
12
Then you look
less.
at then you go look at rushing because that's a huge part of his game. He had 1,200 rushing yards. This year, he has 400 rushing yards less, two
yeah.
touchdowns less. His stats are not nearly what they were. Uh, they're
And
not
you know
nearly
what?
what they were when he won the MVP.
You know what?
Uh,
You're absolutely right. They're not nearly what they were. This Baltimore Ravens team is a different monster
yeah,
to
much
to
better.
to to what that 2019 Ravens team was. So obviously Lamar had a much bigger load in that 2019 year. No, I mean clearly the stats speak for themselves, and
Mhm.
I'm not saying that Lamar Jackson has regressed. Actually, there can be made a case that he's improved by quite a substantial margin
Yeah,
from that 2019 season.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
but just it's my personal opinion that if it weren't for Lamar, that Baltimore Ravens team is not what it is today. And if it
I
weren't, and
I
if
think
it
it's
weren't,
I think it's close.
and if it weren't for McCaffrey, I mean McCaffrey really, you're right, does put that Niners team like on a different level. But without McCaffrey, that Niners team is still elite. Like it's not the same.
I,
especially because they
I
got
don't.
Chase Young. Like I agree with you, Colin. I think the Ravens have the best defense in the league, but when you look at it from a talent perspective, obviously talent isn't the only
okay,
deciding
but if you
factor
looked
in
at it
playing
from a talent
defense.
perspective, then the Chargers would be the best team in the league, and they suck. So you can't
Yeah,
look at it for like that.
Okay, but that's not what I'm saying. Because even if you look at it from a talent perspective, I'm not talking about the team as well. I'm just talking about the defense. But the defense, the and I was talking about comparing these two teams specifically because they're pretty similar in terms of competitiveness and coaching wise. They both have good coaches. Both teams have great coaches, and the Chargers is a whole nother mess for another day and another story to talk about completely. But you look at these 49ers team, their defensive players out of this world. I mean, you got Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Chase Young. Like,
Yeah, but why are we talking about the
but
49ers defense? What does this have to
we're
do with
not
anything?
talking about defense. We're talking about Lamar Jackson and Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah,
you're right.
exactly.
You're right. But I'm saying the defense that Lamar played against, talent wise,
If
you can make.
Okay, but hold on. This is the NFL
here's
MVP.
how I see it. May I? Here's how I see it. Okay, if Christian McCaffrey wasn't at the San Francisco 49ers right now, who would be their starting running back? Elijah Mitchell. Okay, that guy's a nobody. They would have no run game. They would have nothing. They actually their team would be absolutely atrocious. Debo Samuel has not had a great year. Brandon Ayuk has not had a
Whoa,
great
whoa,
year.
whoa,
When
whoa! What are
it,
you talking
whoa,
about?
listen,
No. Debo Samuel has had
relative,
an
no, no,
amazing year. Yes, he has.
relative to
Look at
other
his stats.
relative. If he had a great year, he'd be an MVP conversation or an Offensive Player of the Year
You can,
conversation.
well,
But he's not.
he's not because he's on the most stacked team in the league that
But
has the
there,
most offensive weapons probably the NFL has ever seen in
but the
history.
only one they're utilizing is Christian McCaffrey. I mean, when you think
That's
about it,
not true,
the
Mark.
way this team is designed is they have options, but they always go with the easiest option or the best option, which is
Mark.
Christian McCaffrey.
Okay,
And which is why I
I'll
think
look.
you take Christian McCaffrey out of the picture, this team is done. I'm gonna be so honest with you.
No, I completely disagree with you there.
And you could
And
throw any quarterback. You could throw any quarterback like Tua Tagovailoa will thrive at the Ravens. Any quarterback. I mean, Justin Herbert will thrive, and any
but
you
these are
you
great
can
quarterbacks.
you can throw
Yeah,
Mason
a
Rudolph in there,
great.
and he'd still do great
I don't
because
know
that
about that
team in
though. I
general
don't
is
agree.
stacked. But the moment you take out McCaffrey from the 49ers, they lose 2,000 yards as a team, 2,023 yards total as a team.
But
You
no,
can't find that at any other player.
yeah, well, I disagree with you, Mark, because I have evidence for this, by the way, too. You look back, especially towards the middle of the season, when the middle to end of the season, where the 49ers were really rolling and just pouncing on these weak teams. It was one week. Here, Debo Samuel, you explode and have a crazy career day. McCaffrey, you go and have a crazy day. Or they'll
But
just
McCaffrey always had crazy days. That's the thing. McCaffrey
no,
always every game he had a
no,
touchdown.
but
He had
but
over 100 total
they
scrimmage
had so
yards.
okay, but they McCaffrey clearly is their best player. Like you said yourself, Mark, and I agreed with you on that. When you have your best player, you're gonna feed the ball to your best player. But
Yeah,
they're so stacked on offense that even if you take McCaffrey off, they're an amazing team because they did it. They did it in the middle of the season. They just let Debo Samuel go on a run for 2 games. Just do whatever you want, and he went off against especially against that Eagles game. That Eagles game, Debo Samuel was unguardable. Then
Yeah, I
that
mean,
a
was
few
two
it's
games. He had
the
a total of eight.
well,
He had
let me finish, Mark. And then
892 yards.
okay, and then later they just for a few games they just kept dumping it down to George Kittle, and George Kittle was touchdown machine, man. And then after that, Brock Purdy was just throwing that thing down to Brandon Ayuk, like literally just heaving
George
it up there.
George Kittle at the end of the season only had one good game, and it was against the Baltimore Ravens.
I look,
He had
it's
one game.
hard.
Every other game, he had 3 or 2 receptions. You can't say they were feeding him. He was not a touchdown machine. He had in the only reason he had 6 touchdowns is because in one game against Dallas where he had 3 receptions, he had 3 touchdowns. That's the only reason he has more than 5 touchdowns. He would have 3 touchdowns for the whole season if it wasn't for that game.
What I'm okay, but Mark,
You
you
cannot be
want to know
saying that
what
they're feeding anyone else. You really
Mark,
you can't.
Mark, you want to know why that is? It's because what I just said. They have so many options That they can just, if one thing's not working out, they can just say, okay, whatever, let's run this instead. You
But
put
if you look at
look, you put
McCaffrey, he
you
had.
put George Kittle on any other team that doesn't have Mark Andrews or Travis Kelsey, and George Kittle is a monster, man, like a monster, and is arguably the best tight end in the league, performance
So
wise.
so you're telling me that out of all these players that on the 49ers, besides Christian McCaffrey, I'm looking at the stats. None of them had more than 4 games with over 100 yards. Christian McCaffrey
He's
had
clearly no.
basically every single game above
I'm
100
not
scrimmage
okay.
yards.
I'm not trying to say that Christian McCaffrey is not their best player. He is up and by far their best player. There's a reason Shanahan runs that offense through McCaffrey. There's a reason he runs that offense through motion and play action. It's because McCaffrey is a different beast, man. However, what I am saying is you put any of those other players on a single team, just trade them all away, and they will individually each perform and have monster stats. But because they're all together on that super team, basically, that's what it is. It's a modern day super team, man. That's you have on your offense alone 4 or 5 Pro Bowlers
You can't you
this
can't
year
you can't
alone.
think about it like that. That's the thing. You have
But
to think
you,
about it. It's not that if
you're
the
right.
other
You're not
it's
supposed
not
to,
that
but it's
if
the
the other
truth, Mark.
targets.
It's the
It,
truth.
you shouldn't. The thing is you shouldn't be thinking as if these other targets or weapons that they have are gone. You have to think about
They're not.
if
They're still
McCaffrey
there.
is gone. If McCaffrey left right now, McCaffrey didn't play for the 49ers at
Then
all.
then all of them would see an increase in their stats, and that team would
But
still be
but
great.
they
That would still
but
be an 11 to 12 win team without McCaffrey.
I don't think so.
I
I
do
do
think
not
so,
think so.
because they were without him the year before,
Is there is
and
there a
before that
stat?
too, and they went to the Super Bowl in 2019
But 2019
with a what
was a
with a
very
worse
different team.
quarterback. I would
No,
argue.
you can't talk about
You
2019,
cannot
bro.
compare 2019.
Look, we have to move on. We have a lot of other awards to get to, but there's just one thing I want to leave with is that uh, it sucks that it's like this, but this is all recency bias. If you reverted the season, no one would be talking about Lamar Jackson because
Oh
at the
no, yeah,
beginning,
I completely agree with you
at the
there. Yeah,
beginning
yeah.
of this is a season long award. At the beginning of the season, Lamar Jackson was like just like
Was
right
just
like
par.
himself.
It was just
Yeah, like
Lamar.
still a great player, but nothing, no, not an MVP level. It's only
I
because of what's been happening
he beat
recently.
I of course he beat everybody that was in front of him at the end of the season, all
He
the
didn't.
major
Yeah,
title contenders, and he
Lamar didn't
played
have a good game.
amazingly in those games. Well, yes, he did. Lamar had a great game.
Lamar didn't have a good game until week
He
7
threw
versus Detroit. That was the first time we saw
if you want
Lamar
to say that.
Jackson 20 whatever year he won the that was the
2019,
yeah, that was the first
I
time
guess
that we
you
saw
could kind of make that argument.
MVP Lamar Jackson this season, where he
I
threw for 350 yards and he had like a
I
great
still think,
load of touchdowns.
look, here's what I think. I still think that if Tyreek Hill would have gotten 2,000 yards, he should. I don't think he would have been, but he should have been the front runner for MVP, and he would have had the best case for MVP if he had those 2,000 yards, and
yeah,
would have contributed to more of those Dolphins wins. Like would have gotten us those wins where we lost those games towards the end of the stretch. He definitely would have been, in my opinion, the front runner for MVP with those 2,000 yards, and then plus 1 or 2 more wins because of him. Oh, it's no doubt in my mind. If there was ever a year for
yeah.
the
It's
receiver
just
to win
it's just because he
the
got
MVP,
injured.
yeah, it was this year. Sadly, that
Yeah,
didn't happen, and because of that,
It's gonna happen next year
Lamar,
though.
it better is what
I
I'm
think
saying.
so.
It better.
I think I think Tyreek's entering his villain arc. I mean, his kids just burned down his house. This guy's pissed off.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he's about to do
Hopefully,
something crazy.
hopefully, he better
all
do
right.
something crazy.
Well, now moving on, we have, in my opinion, the most controversial one, the comeback player of the year. Now, I have very strong feelings about this, all right, and I think maybe you guys would agree with me as well. This
Mhm.
100% the winner of this award should be Joe Flacco, and it's
I
not even
absolutely agree.
close.
I
It's
agree
not
with you
even
fully.
close.
Really?
Yeah,
It's not even
yeah.
close. All
Who do
right,
you? Oh wait.
Lamar.
Before I say who I think should win it, who do you guys think I believe should win it?
I have no idea.
I think you're gonna say Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I truly believe Baker Mayfield should be comeback player of the year, and I'll tell you why. And this is no slight on Joe Flacco, because right now, if I'm being brutally honest with you, he is
Mhm.
the much better quarterback right now. I mean, I would want Joe Flacco on my team in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah.
But here's the difference: Baker Mayfield was signed and given a chance at Tampa Bay. His expectations weren't too high. And Baker Mayfield has been a great, solid player and leader for that Tampa Bay team going into the playoffs now. He played a heck of a season. He revitalized his career. You know, many people saw him as a bust. And after this year, you really can't call him that anymore because he's had great stints, especially
Yeah.
in the playoffs. Even when he played for the Browns, he won the Browns playoff games. And people tend to forget that. And
I don't
then
think the
now,
Browns won a playoff game, but
oh yeah,
I
yeah,
get what
under
you mean.
him. No, they did.
I, they won? I thought they just made
Yeah.
the playoffs. I didn't realize they won. Oh.
No. He
No,
Baker
they
Mayfield
won one game. Yeah.
won a game under Baker Mayfield in the playoffs.
Yeah, they did.
Well,
And
I
wait.
agree. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
And now going into the playoffs, going versus last year's Super Bowl runner-ups, the Philadelphia Eagles, who have had, I mean, a tremendous downfall halfway through the season. He is probably and hopefully going to win against these Eagles at home in Tampa Bay. So, to me, it's very clear Baker Mayfield should win it. And solely because Joe Flacco wasn't originally or intended to play this season at all. He was a backup
That's
of a
why.
bat. He was a
And for
backup of.
that reason,
And for that reason,
I think Joe
he
Flacco should win the
the
MVP. I mean,
comeback
comeback player of the year.
player
My
of
bad.
the year.
Thank you, Oscar,
Please,
for telling me my point. I appreciate it. Look,
no,
Damar
no,
Hamlin.
no,
Look,
no.
the the
You're
the
getting it
award.
wrong.
Hold
Damar
on.
Hamlin
You,
died on the
you
field, came back. This guy's Jesus Christ, but he hasn't done shiz this whole season. This guy
hold
has
on.
not started a single game. Like, bro,
Comeback.
if
The award is called Comeback Player of the Year. This man didn't come back. I don't know where people like, oh, Damar Hamlin, we need to be politically correct, and he almost died, so we have to give him his props. Oh, poor Damar Hamlin. He didn't play football. How are you
bro,
giving him an
I
award? He
almost
didn't
I
do
Look,
anything.
I
look.
almost died when Colin drives me. Okay, why don't I get comeback player of the year?
All right,
Like,
all
come
Bro,
on.
what?
enough with the jokes. But for
I'm
real
not
here,
joking.
I know, but for real here, Joe Flacco, I wouldn't call it a comeback, and I'll tell you why. Joe Flacco was never gone. He was just
What?
never. Look,
This
yeah,
guy was retired, bro.
He
no,
was
this
This
is
sitting
guy
on
was
his
raising his
couch.
kids.
yeah.
Bro,
This is what I'm saying. Joe Flacco never lost that elite stat. He had it within him this whole time. I truly believe in Joe.
no,
Yes,
you're just
yes.
No,
messing with me,
no,
bro.
no
No.
Did
way.
you
And
see
No
him
way.
play last year?
okay.
Holy
No.
cow.
Okay, you're right. He was bad. However, Joe Flacco was never discarded. Like he was always considered, like especially when he was in his like prime. You would say like he was a good
Prime in
quarterback.
20,
Dude,
2014.
that was
In
12 years
2012.
ago.
Yeah, I know.
Prime when he was at the Baltimore Ravens when he won a Super Bowl when we were like 5.
I actually remembered. I think that was the first Super Bowl I ever saw. Was the Ravens a Super Bowl?
Dude, the Damar Hamlin didn't. I mean,
Well, hold on.
someone check how many.
Forget about
No,
Damar Hamlin. He should not win.
nobody want.
N-
I
no
don't think
no
nobody here thinks
no
Lamar Hamlin
NFL
should win.
no true NFL fan thinks Damar Hamlin should win. It's just all the suck
Absolutely
ups,
not.
okay? I'm just being real. Baker Mayfield, great comeback player of the year, runner up. Congratulations. I agree
Yeah.
with you. Joe Flacco came back from sitting on his couch doing nothing after playing horrible football the last few years. His career is absolutely washed. This man comes out from his couch, plays football for the Cleveland Browns, and leads them to the playoffs. They're not in the playoffs with PJ Walker or
Whoa,
Dorian Thompson
No.
Robinson or whoever the
whoa,
heck.
whoa!
100% they're not.
Be careful, because their defense
With what?
was
Oh, their
was that.
defense.
No, their
Okay.
defense was winning them games with or without those quarterbacks.
Bro, you're telling me that
I don't
no.
think they
That's-
win.
No.
Dude,
Absolutely not.
Joe
I- look,
Flacco was playing
I don't-
Sudoku
No,
for the
no.
last
I don't-
2 years
I
on
don't
his
think.
couch.
I don't think they win a playoff game without Joe
No, they're not in
Flacco,
they're not in the playoffs,
but I
Oscar.
think they get to the playoffs without him. I
No,
do think
I
that.
No,
I highly
no,
disagree with
they're
you.
not in the playoff. Dude, I'm sorry, but what Joe Flacco has done these last 4 games really
It's,
solidified them to get into the playoffs
to quote
entirely.
to quote Rich Eisen, it's the Flacco Sans. It's truly incredible what we're witnessing here by this player.
Yeah.
I support it. Look, you know what? If Joe Flacco wins it, I wouldn't be upset. I just personally believe when you look at it holistically and you look at all the different variables and all the factors that should go into this, I think Baker Mayfield just deserves it more for everything that has gone through it. Joe Flacco, I would what I would call what's happening with Joe Flacco now is a very pleasant surprise. Was anybody expecting Joe Flacco to be good? No, which is why he's a big
Which is why he'd be
candidate.
the
I
comeback
know.
player of the
Yeah,
year.
that's what I'm saying. Which is why he's a big candidate for Joe Flacco. I mean, for comeback player of the year.
I think they
However,
should name it after Joe Flacco.
however, when you look at Baker Mayfield, it just in my opinion, it makes more sense. I mean, the guy was looked at as a bum throughout the year. I mean, you could say the same for Joe Flacco, but why? Because he was an older player, not because he was a bad player. People knew he was a good player who just got old, and you guys, okay, it's your time to retire. You know what I mean? So this is just a pleasant surprise that, damn, look at this man now playing like he's 27 years old. You know what I mean? Whereas in Baker Mayfield, this guy is supposedly supposed to be in the prime of his career and playing like a nobody. And then he's revitalized his career in Tampa Bay, which is, to me, what would make him the comeback player of the year. But I would not be
All right.
mad at all if Joe Flacco wins it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I'd
All right, there's
love
one
to
more
see it.
award I want to get to. And that is Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think that's the other controversial one.
This
Um,
is
I don't think so.
I
It's not controversial.
I have thoughts about this. I have thoughts about this.
all right. First of all, I just want to say I'm pleasantly shocked that
With the
Sam
rookies
Laporta
this
is
year,
third. No,
yeah.
that Sam Laporta is third.
I mean, but
Oh,
he's in the right
Sam
place
Laporta,
though.
yeah, he's the second or
Don't get me
third best
wrong.
tight end in the league right now.
He's good. He's amazing for a rookie. But surprisingly, this was an insane rookie class. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
period.
Okay, so Mark, who do you think should win Offensive Rookie of the Year?
I think Puka Nakua
This
should
guy.
win
Look at this
Okay,
Offensive
Oscar.
Rookie of the
guy.
Year.
Okay, Oscar, who do you think should win?
Come on now.
CJ Stroud?
Colin, you said it yourself. If it weren't for those 3 games, he would probably be in the Pro Bowl right now as a starter.
I agree.
It's
Yeah.
Because
CJ Stroud.
All right, I think that CJ Stroud is gonna win. Okay. He's playing amazing. He's a great player, and I love him to death. But when the other player, I love how Mark and I agree on everything, and it's just Oscar. Okay, CJ Stroud wins this award literally any other year. The
Yeah.
only reason I would give it to Puka is the
Because he
only
broke the
reason.
receiving
He
record.
broke
Yeah, the
all the
rookie
records.
receiving record. This guy broke
No,
records. This is
he
what
has the most receiving yards for a rookie in NFL history and the most receptions for a
Patches.
rookie
Yes,
in
I know.
NFL.
yeah.
And for that
Here's
And
reason, I have to
here's
give it to
the
him. He had
yeah.
here's the
he
thing
has
though.
a historical performance.
Here's the thing though. Puka Nakua any other year, like, and I truly mean this from the bottom of my heart. Any other year, like, sweeps offensive rookie of the year, like, hands down.
I
Wins
think
it.
he sweeps this year.
Well, I agree with CJ Stroud.
But
I agree with CJ. You
Yeah.
could say the same thing about CJ Stroud too, though.
Yeah.
He sweeps it any other year.
No,
I
but
I even agree with
but you're
Sam
up.
Laporta.
Here's
Honestly.
here's the thing. In a down year, Sam Laporta definitely wins it. But here's the thing: C.J. Stroud was placed into a hot garbage mess of an organization that, mind you not, at the beginning of the season was supposed to be seen as still rebuilding. People were saying they were winning 5 games max at the start of the season. 5 games. C.J. Stroud heard that and said, all right, 5 games? Bet. Do that times 2, at least. C.J. Stroud, and I mean this in every sense of the word, is a generational talent and hopefully will one day be a Hall of Famer. That's the trajectory he's
I would
on.
love to see it.
That's the trajectory this man is on. He has taken the Houston Texans and placed them on his shoulders and climbed Everest with them. This is not Puka Nakua's fault. He's a receiver. His
There you go.
lowest,
You can't, Oscar. You
yeah,
just lost me. You just
no,
lost
no.
me. You're
Well,
not giving it to
I'm,
Puka because
I'm,
he's a receiver.
no,
What
no,
is
no.
this?
I'm gonna
Is this
explain what.
is this
Let
the
me finish.
is this
Let
the
me.
MVP, bro?
No. Let me finish. I'll explain myself. When you're a receiver, your lowest floor, it can be kind of low, but like there's a certain floor you can reach, and it doesn't really get much lower than that. And
This guy broke the
wait, wait,
roof.
wait,
Puka
wait,
Nakua
wait,
broke the
wait.
roof.
Let me finish. And your ceiling is the same thing. Like there's a certain ceiling that you can reach that is super impressive, but it kind of caps out at a certain point, and it's because you're limited to the position you play. Quarterbacks, it's the opposite. Your lowest floor is as low as it gets because all the responsibility shoulders on you. But because of that, your highest ceiling is like limitless because you can just be so great and you can be viewed as the unanimous best player in the league, like Patrick Mahomes. You know what I mean? And in this case, I think this is what's happened this year in the offensive rookie of the year
I,
situation.
I
Puka
if
Nacua broke the record, but because of what CJ Stroud did as a quarterback for this franchise, literally lifted them up, taken the mantle of responsibility, and
I don't know about that one.
slinged the ball wherever the hell he wanted, got it to those receivers, scored touchdowns, got yards, and at a very, very low turnover rate. That man had very few. I think we were 8 games
He
into the season where he had,
he
and he
he
had
yeah
still
he had
zero
zero interceptions.
interceptions. It's unfair.
He
It's two different positions that you
if I
shouldn't match up. But
if I may,
yeah, go
the
for it.
Texans in general, not just in the quarterback position, but in every position, turned it around.
Oh
The
yeah,
running
for
back
sure.
position, on their defense, their coach is amazing. I mean, I think their coach is a high possibility for coach of the year. But CJ Stroud did not break records. CJ Stroud did not have a record breaking year. And we've seen record breaking years from Justin Herbert with the passing touchdown record, from Andrew Luck with the passing yards record as a rookie. CJ Stroud didn't do that. Yeah, he played great, but also you have to think about how is the scheme of this offense made? The scheme of the offense was made for him to succeed and for the team to succeed in general. This, in my opinion, if CJ Stroud wins this, I don't think it's to CJ Stroud. I think this should be a team award to the Houston Texans. That's why I
Look,
think Puka Nacua would win it because he broke records. This Rams offense was not built around Puka Nacua. This Rams offense had Kyron Williams. This Rams offense has Cooper Kupp,
and
who
Matthew Stafford.
and Matthew
Yeah.
Stafford and
No,
Tyler Higbee
it's
and all
definitely
these great players.
look. It's
But
definitely a lot
but
closer
Puka broke
than
records.
look.
This
It's
is going in
definitely a
history.
lot closer than what it seems. At least what the odds makers make it seem like. Okay, it should be a lot closer. You're right. I'm not scoffing away Puka Nakua's records. However, I just think Puka Nakua got very unlucky because he has to go against
I don't think he's
what
unlucky.
arguably is one of the best rookie quarterback seasons we've ever seen. So
There's always every rookie of the year. There's always most of the time a rookie quarterback that plays great that goes to a team and does sensational. We've seen that always. We've always seen that every single year.
really,
And
every year, who would you say
basically,
who would you say did that last year?
well, I mean, I could start off by saying immediately Justin Herbert. I
But
mean, this guy was not
he
supposed
wasn't
to
a rookie
play.
last year.
No, but I'm saying in general. I didn't say last year. I'm saying in
You're
general.
saying well you could see that every year, and that's what I'm saying.
But
Okay,
you
well,
can't say that every year. If the offensive rookie was to the quarterback who turned around the team, then it would be a quarterback every year. But he didn't break records.
Okay, hold on. This is not. This is a player award. This is not how the player benefits the team award. This is just how the player played.
That's
Puka
why Puka
Nacua
Nacua should win it.
literally has played the best rookie has played as the best rookie receiver in the history of the
History of the
NFL.
NFL.
You literally can't not give it to him.
Yeah.
He's the best player ever. He's for this award, what this award is saying, rookie, offensive rookie, he's the best offensive rookie of all time for his position. And
Yeah.
CJ Stroud
He
is
is.
not the
He is.
best offensive rookie of all time for his
Puka
position.
Nacua
You know what?
broke record. Puka Nacua has
When
his
you
cleats,
phrase
has
it,
his jersey in Canton, Ohio right now as a rookie.
when
Right
you
now, he has
when
him.
you when you phrase it like that, Colin, Puka Nacua, the greatest rookie receiver of all time, is C.J. Stroud the greatest quarterback of all time, rookie quarterback of all time? No.
No, it's Andrew Luck.
Whether it's passing yards or passing touchdowns, Andrew Luck or Justin Herbert, you're right. He didn't do any of those things, and that's a very, very convincing argument. So I wouldn't be mad. And in fact, I see and acknowledge the case. I see and acknowledge the case for Puka Nacua. I would even go as far to say that I would like it more if Puka Nacua won it. However, I just have the feeling CJ Stroud is going to win it. I think CJ Stroud should win it just narrowly, but I don't know.
I think
It can flip flop for me between them. I think CJ Stroud's going to win it, but you're right. I mean, if you don't give it a Puka Nacua this year, like, what the hell does a receiver have to do? You know what I mean?
the committee that votes on these awards has a whole eye on them that they know they need to get it right, and if they get it wrong, they're gonna get flamed for it.
Oh, of course.
And maybe that
Thankfully,
may
that's not
come
me.
into the future as restructuring how these awards are. Is that possible? Maybe in the upcoming years. But if the committee knows how to vote for these awards based off of what they say and based off of the stats, if it's MVP, most valuable player, if it's rookie of the year, I think if the committee knows, they go for the most obvious.
All right. Well, great debates here on the Get It Right Saturday Night podcast.
Of
We're
course, of
actually
course.
we're gonna make because it's the most important time in NFL history, in NFL this season. We're gonna make the NFL playoff bracket, our predictions, a separate video because we need to stand it alone. It's really important. So we're gonna close out the video here. Mark, you want to take us away?
You already know, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're back. It's a new year, new semester in college, and we're hopefully going to have episodes for you guys every Saturday night. We hope you guys enjoy. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the football games. Enjoy basketball. Go Panthers. Broncos country. Let's ride. Pound it. Noggin. See ya.
Yeah.
See you
And
guys.
this Saturday you'll have 2 episodes. So
Oh, yeah.
look forward to that. All right. See you guys later. Bye.
See ya.
Bye bye.